Hi, all you music lovers. My name's Andy Rodriguez, and I'm also known as the Blackspinner. And welcome to my channel, where I go through my vinyl in alphabetical and in chronological order. And we are still in the tail end of the letter R. And R is going to be for Rush. Now, this episode is going to cover just the Rush albums that I have on vinyl, and we will go through them, and I will pull out key tracks, maybe some songs y'all are not too familiar with, and if you're new to our channel, please like us, and also go like this episode, and also leave a comment, and please become a subscriber to this channel. We really have a good time here. Like I said, we are already on the letter R. So without further ado, let's get started with the band Rush. The band Rush is a three-piece band that came out of Canada, and they came out in the mid-70s, about 74. That's when they came out with their debut album, and you know, they struggled during their first 3 or 4 albums, and they hit it big with their 4th album. That launched them to superstardom. And you know, how did they know that they would become superstars, and 45 years later we would be talking about their albums that they have made? They really touched a generation, maybe even more than one generation, probably a couple of generations. So without further ado, let's get started. Rush, their debut album, self-titled. They will have their first drummer here by the name of John Rutsey was the drummer here. And this is going to be a different album than what we are used to by Rush. This is going to be a straight up hard rock album in the same vein as Led Zeppelin. The songs on here: Finding My Way, Need Some Love, Here Again. I really like the song In the Mood. It's kind of silly. It's kind of, you know, but there are a couple. In their early days, they made a couple of silly songs, and you know, I like that by Rush. But the big track on here was Working Man, and is Working Man. Working Man is a fantastic, almost 8-minute long, 7 minutes and 7 seconds of just great guitar and drums, and Geddy Lee sounds great. Alex Lifeson is the guitar player, and Geddy Lee does vocals and bass, and then later on he will really stretch out to the keyboards, and we will talk about that soon. But the drummer will leave. John Rutsey is going to be replaced by Neil Peart. Now, Neil Peart and Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee will stay together until the death of Neil Peart, which he passed away a couple of years ago, and they stayed together for almost 40 years. Well, a little bit over 40 years, because they did celebrate 40 years. So let's get to it. This was the first album with Neil Peart. I love this album cover. Fly By Night. Look at I like the menacing eyes and the color of it all. Fly By Night. This album shows you what's going to happen. They're putting down the blueprints. There's the back of it. It's a paper insert. Is what I have. No, it's not a paper insert. I'm sorry. I thought it was. Lyrics. That's pretty neat, huh? A couple pictures of the guys. The songs on here. Side 1 is almost untouchable. Side 1 has Anthem, Best I Can, and By-Tor and the Snow Dog. I used to have a couple of friends down in Corpus Christi when I was growing up, the Barrera brothers, and they were big time into Rush, and they showed me a lot about Rush. And one of them, I believe it was Marco, had a dog, and then he was named By-Tor, and at the time I didn't know who By-Tor was, and they played By-Tor, the Snow Dog, for me, and I said, oh. Side 2, Fly By Night, the title track, and also In the End is a really good song. But yeah, Fly By Night's a good album. And their next one, which they were hoping would become a hit, and it was not. But us Rush fans love this album, Caressa Steel. This is fantastic. There's the back of it. Here's the inside of it. This, in my opinion, this was the first classic album. This is the album that really pushed them along. And just the songs alone speak for themselves. Bastille Day. And I think I'm going bald. Another one of those songs that's silly, but I love it. And Lakeside Park. Lakeside Park, I remember when I would hang out with the Barrera brothers, we would sing that on Friday nights, full of beer and having a great time and listening and singing Lakeside Park. And this has the last two songs on here are big steps forward into the prog rock that we are going to love about Rush. The Necromancer is a really good song, but there's a song on the second side, takes up the whole side, and what's it called? I forgot the name of it because there's so many parts to this song. The Fountain of Lemonis. It's about a 20-minute song, and I challenge y'all to listen to that song, and then after that, 2112, which is going to be the next album about to come up. It's not the same kind of storytelling, or it's not the same story, but you can tell that the steps that they take on this song will be the same steps that they'll take on 2112, the song 2112. I mean, just the song structure and the musical suites. I mean, they were getting ready for what was to come. Caressa Steel. And at that time, the record company was about to release them from their contract because they were making albums that were not commercial, and they gave them one more shot. Really, they said, we'll give y'all one more shot. Come out with something. If not, y'all are going to be dropped. Comes one of their greatest albums and one of the best albums in rock history. Rush 2112. Here's the inside of it. There's the back of it. This right here will be synonymous with Rush for years and years and years to come. I've seen them in concert a couple of times, maybe about 3 or 4 times, and just when that signal comes out, it's just great. The songs on here, 2112, the title track takes up all of side 1. It talks about a story about what will happen if computers overrun the human race. We're seeing that right now, aren't we? We're seeing what happens. Which, sometimes we're lost without our phones and don't know what's going on unless we look something up, or it's a whole different story. And side 2, it's not, people forget about side 2 because of 2112. But we're talking about Passage to Bangkok, The Twilight Zone, and Something for Nothing. I mean, this is a great, great album, and you owe it to yourself to sit down and listen to 2112. And then after that, they will release, ladies and gentlemen, yes, a double live album. We all know how much I'm a sucker for the double live album. All the World's a Stage. Double live. There's the inside of it with the representation. Right here we'll have the representation of the albums that are on this album, and they will also have all the song titles according to that album. And the songs on here are fantastic. They're played louder. The band is just hitting in all cylinders here. Alex Leifson is just going crazy on guitar. He's been going crazy on guitar ever since the first album, but here with Neil Peart, just drumming away. These guys are just getting so lost in the music that they're making. And the songs on here are just top-notch songs. They are Bastille Day, Anthem, Fly By Night, In The Mood, Something For Nothing. That's on side 1. Side 2, let's say start off with Lakeside Park, which y'all know how special that song is to me. I just talked about it. Then it goes into 2112. Side 3, By Tour the Snow Dog. And side 4, they go back to the first album. And they do Working Man and Finding My Way. Yeah, this album is just great. There's the back of it. I don't know if I showed that already. But this is a great double live album. And Rush will use the double live album to represent different periods of their musical career. It's fantastic. After that, they'll move into a different that would signal the end of an, well, maybe not the end of an era. I'm not going to say that, because again, they press on, they continue on. A Farewell to Kings. This album is just, the next 4 or 5 albums are historically, rock and roll historically known. There's the inside of it. Right here they are taking the prog rock by the horns. And at this time, what was this, 77, 78? At the time, prog rock was an all-time high, 77. So at this time, prog rock was an all-time high, between 75, 76, 77, 78, with so many different bands. But it was so odd, because when it came to prog music, everybody had their own style. Nobody really copied off each other. Yes sounded like Yes. Rush sounded like Rush. Floyd sounded like Floyd. Genesis sounded like Genesis. And and other top-notch prog rock bands had their own sound. So let's go through these. A Farewell to Kings and Xanadu. Those 2 songs are just fantastic. And that's all that's all of side 1. Side 2, let's go to Closer to the Heart, which was a single off this album and became a hit, and it's one of their bigger hits. It's one of their most easily accessible songs. Cinderella Man was a good song, and Cygnus X1. Man, just the sheer of it all, of the music that these guys put out. And then and when you hear Rush, you're like, man, these guys are a 3-piece? Yeah, they're a 3-piece. After that, Kate, please excuse the album cover. I bought it like that. The album cover was messed up. This is called Rush Hemispheres. Here's the inside of it. Yes, the cover is a little beaten up, but the important part is how great that looks, right? Hemispheres will be another big step forward. Each album during this period, they're just going forward. And the songs on here, Cygnus X1 Book 2. So this is going to be a continuation of how A Farewell to Kings ended. And Hemispheres is that song. Hemispheres is called, the title track of this is that song, Cygnus Book 2. And it will take up all of side 1. Side 2, the song The Trees. The Trees is such a fantastic song. It talks about racism and the using trees as an analogy of the different types of trees in the forest and how they would fight each other, and why can't they all just, be together as one, since they all live in one forest. Why can't all the different trees just live in harmony? Just like we're all in one world and we all need to live in harmony. And La Via Streggiero. I'm pretty sure I didn't pronounce that right. And on this, you will start, well, not just on this one, but a couple of other albums recently, the keyboards that Geddy Lee is starting to master. Plays a big part in these albums. From 2112 on, he's really filling in the atmospheric and also playing bass and also singing. The man is amazing. You know, we all talk about how great Neil Peart is on drums, and we all talk about how great Alex Lifeson is on guitar, and we all talk about how great Geddy Lee is, and his vocals are different. It's a higher pitch, but man, Rush wouldn't be the same without him. The Rush music needs that voice. And right here, they start trending more into the radio. Yeah, Rush is starting to get into the radio. And right here, they're starting with it with Permanent Waves. Yeah, great album. This is a fantastic album. Paper insert. Spirit of Radio, Free Will, two big hits that were radio hits. Natural Science and Different Strings. They still weren't getting away from that prog yet. But they will launch a full-on rock album. This was fantastic. This was 80. Yeah. The singing on this by Geddy Lee is just so smooth. And it seems to be in a lower register on this album. Next will be one of their greatest moments. Moving Pictures. We all knew this was coming. Moving Pictures. This was, I think this whole album was played on the radio, to be honest with you, and it still is. Tom Sawyer, which we all know that's one of their famous songs. Red Barchetta is just a great one. YYZ is a instrumental. And Limelight and side 2 is just as great. We're talking about The Camera Eye and Witch Hunt and Vital Signs. And there's the insert of it. The inside. There's the lyrics. Yeah, this was a big time for them. This is they became rock celebrities. They were now touring the world. They weren't opening up for anybody anymore. In fact, there'll be a time where they don't even need an opening band. It's just Rush. Period. Good stuff. And double live album alert. Rush, exit, stage left. And this will be a period where they do a recap of what was made in between each double live album. And there's the inside of it. In the back of here, it looks like different representations of different album covers. You know, right there you got the Caressa Steel. Right there you got a Farewell to Kings. Right there you got the moving picture guys moving a picture frame right here of a Caressa Steel guy. Here's the Hemispheres guy. And then back here's the 2112 star like we had talked about. The songs on here are just everything that you would want from that period. Spirit of Radio, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Passage to Bangkok, which was on 2112, and Closer to the Heart, Beneath, Between and Behind, and also Jacob's Ladder. Side 3 will have The Trees and Xanadu. Side 4 will have Free Will and Tom Sawyer and La Via Stragito. Yeah, Rush. This is another good live album. And after that, they will move into a more electronic sound. A little bit more keyboards. Took away a little bit from Lifeson's guitar work. But you know, it's still Rush. You're still comfortable with it because you love this band, and you still embrace it, you still listen to it because you love it. And it's still good music. Signals. Still great songs on here. Subdivisions, the Analog Kid, Digital Man, New World Man. The singles that were on here were Subdivisions and New World Man. And here's the inside of it. There's a picture of the guys. And and it will tell you here as well of all the synthesizers that Geddy Lee plays on here. And it's so funny because they've got a picture and they've got Eric Leifson. I'm sorry. Alex Leifson, first base, and Neil Peart, third base. I'm not too sure what that means, but I do know that Geddy Lee is a big lover of baseball. And in fact, I saw a special with him and Dan Rather, and they're going through his almost exhaustive a memorabilia of baseball. He's got baseballs that were signed by the Yankees and World Series and all sorts of stuff. He's a big baseball fan. But let's move on to his music, shall we? Power Windows by Rush. They are really deep into the synthesizers and the keyboards. The Big Money, Manhattan Project, Marathon, Emotion Detector, and Mystic Rhythms. Those are the standout tracks on this album. Here's the inside of it with the guys. All 80s outright. And there's the lyrics for it. The vinyl still looks fantastic. Look at that. And yes, I do. I do play these albums on a regular basis. All of my vinyl I play. I'm never gonna. I'm not gonna resell them. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I collect them so I can hear them. And the last but not least, the last Rush album that I have on vinyl is Presto. They are moving into the 90s on this album. So this album, they're starting to strip back from the keyboard use and really bring in the guitars again. Putting the guitars up front. Songs on here, Show, Don't Tell. It starts off the album, with a bang. War Paint and the title track, Presto. Red Tide is a good song too. This is another good album by them. Here's the paper insert. The paper, rock, scissors. Pretty funny. And if you you follow Rush and the guys, you know that they had a great personality and they had a great sense of humor. Even though a lot of their lyrics and a lot of their music was very serious, they knew how to let their hair down and really have a good time. But Rush, Presto, this one's not talked much about, but it should. It's a really good album. Well, that concludes my Rush vinyl collection. I really hope that y'all enjoyed it and maybe learned a little bit more about Rush. Maybe some things you didn't know, or maybe you might have heard a song that you might want to check out, or maybe get deeper into their deeper tracks. Well, thanks a lot for joining me. I really enjoyed it. Please join us next time as we will do the letter S. And the S's, I'm going to have to go through them. We'll see if I need to do a couple of episodes, or I might have to do 2 or 3. We'll see about that. So please join us as we go to the letter S. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And take care of yourselves. And keep rocking. And please subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys next time.